Definition of misogyny is when racism and sexism meet.
Ooh, ooh. I want to play the game of making up your own ideology too. How about Misan Blanco? Yeah? Yeah, you think that'll work?
Equality for women is still a fight. Any feminist will tell you the struggle to establish more females in the workplace, let alone being paid the same amount as men.
You are absolutely correct. Ask any feminist, and they will tell you this. Well, maybe not any feminist. Love you, based mom. Not to be confused with based mama.
But what if, as a woman, sexism isn't the only form of discrimination you face? Misogynoir identifies the intersectional point in which women are not only targeted for their gender, but also for their race.
Do go on.
In September 2011, the headlines went crazy when 4 girls were turned away from a nightclub for being overweight and too dark.
At the risk of coming across like a nitpicker, okay, I'm a nitpicker, this incident did occur in September, but it did not occur in September of 2011, rather 2015. Just wanted to make that clarification.
One of these ladies was Salika Miller.
So when Lynn was speaking to Daniel, who was the promoter, he was saying, oh, but I think it's because they're too dark and all this stuff. And she's like, but you've seen them, because she had sent pictures to him before, because he was kind of like, oh, if you're going to bring black girls, they need to be extra hot. The chocolate needs to be extra hot. That's what he said.
Are you going to at least offer the response from the club to this incident? No? Okay. The night in question of Saturday, September 26th, was a very busy night, and the women who have made the complaint against the venue arrived without having made any prior reservation. All our tables were booked, and we had a full general admission guest list, and on that basis alone they were not granted entry. Only people who had booked in advance were allowed entry. At least 2 of the women who made the complaint against District, Lynn May and Zalika Miller, have been allowed entry to the venue in the past. This can be seen on Lynn May's Instagram account, Lynn May Talks, from 12 weeks ago. It showed a picture of her enjoying herself in the venue with 2 other friends, and the message stated, "And again, night out, District." It appears that this message has now been deleted from her account, but clearly the only reason she was turned away on the night of September 26th was the venue being very busy due to its popularity.
However, Zalika doesn't feel like the term misogynoir should be being used.
Well, that's a ringing endorsement from your star witness. Where do you go from here with your little presentation then?
We shouldn't have to be coming up with all these new words in 2015 to describe racism or discrimination against black women. We should be moving on from that.
I may have to dial back my sarcasm slightly, because I agree with everything Zalika just said. But let's see how long we can maintain this line of rational thinking, shall we?
And it's sad. And it's like, but what is sad is this, I feel like it's not against all black women, because obviously black comes in different shades. I feel like it's darker women that this is happening to.
So you feel as though it's not against black people in general. It's against darker-skinned black people that you are more oppressed within your own race based on the shade of your skin. I think we need to rephrase the title of this video. Does that more accurately reflect what's going on here?
Because my light skin friends, they don't have problems like this. You know what I'm saying? They'll go to a club and they'll probably get in. Like I've gone out with my friends before, and one of my friends is very like fair skinned, and we'll be like, yeah, you need to stand in the front. So like they'll see you first, and then they'll see us in the back, and they won't really think.
Just to refresh ourselves, here's a photo of the 4 women who were purportedly turned away from the club. On the far left here, we have Zalika, and on the far right, we have one of her friends. Now, I feel uncomfortable pointing this out because it's such a strange concept to me, but Zalika brought it up. Your friend on the far right is of a lighter skin tone than you are. But supposedly, by your story, She too was turned away at the club for the same reasons you were. She's both, purportedly, too fat and too dark. So I guess you're going to have to get out for me some kind of color wheel to tell me when light is light and dark is too dark. But focusing on skin color that closely would kind of make you racist, wouldn't it?
I think it applies to all black girls. I remember there's another YouTuber called Nissy T. I don't know if you've watched her. No,
No,
but
I
watched her. She posted a video about how she didn't get into a club because she is black. But Nissy T is literally like, she's so light skinned. So the fact that she didn't get into a club, I think highlights that it affects people of all different races. Yeah.
Races? I'm going to assume she meant shades or tones or whatever we're going to call it now. But yeah, I'm sure this individual anecdotal example that you offered secondhand is proof positive that this is the case and that misogynoir applies across the full spectrum of your colors. Oh God, this is weird.
And she's right. Misogynoir affects black girls of every shade, including myself.
I never felt like I ever lacked any opportunities as a black female. And it wasn't until about the ages of like 16 or 17 when I went for an audition, because I do acting as well.
You do acting as well? I'm shocked.
And it was an open audition, so there were loads of black girls. And then I was called back to talk to the director and to go through it again. And she said it was amazing. And she said to me, if you were a bit lighter, or if you were light-skinned, this role would have been yours. And that was the first time I was like, wow, like,
brazen.
Yeah, it was just so straight, and it was normal. It must have been normal for her to say.
Yes, I'm sure it has never been the case that someone who was an excellent actor was turned down for a role over a physical feature that they had no control over. No one's ever been turned down for a role because they were too short, or too tall, or too heavy, or too thin, or too young, or too old, or too light, or too dark, or you name it. I'm sure that nothing like that has ever happened to anyone but you.
It wasn't even to do with me being a female. It's not that there weren't parts for females. It was that there weren't parts for black females. Yeah.
But didn't you just get done telling us about an audition for a black female character that you weren't selected for? So there are parts for black female characters. And I've watched quite a few British TV shows in my day. There are a lot of black female characters.
There weren't parts for females that represented me, which is why I couldn't have my hair the way I wanted. I couldn't be the skin tone I wanted because they're not represented on TV, so they don't exist. Yeah. And so if they were to put me on TV the way I actually looked, no one would be able to relate to me. Yeah. So they think.
Unless you're going to do an autobiographical film, you generally don't get to play characters that reflect you. You play characters that reflect the part you have been given. This may require you to alter your appearance to adhere to what the casting director and the script calls for. This is not always going to be a reflection of you, because you are playing someone else.
I don't know if I've felt that I've directly been underestimated or overlooked. I'm not sure, but I've definitely felt maybe it's self-inflicted, but a pressure kind of to do the best and to be the best and to go the extra mile, make sure that I look the part and sound the part and all that kind of thing.
That sounds completely rational. Someone who is trying to be an actress and understands that when you take on a role, you have to alter your appearance to fit the role. And she says that she doesn't recall ever feeling any kind of discrimination, but the pressure that she does feel is probably self-inflicted. Self-inflicted with a note towards doing the best that you can. This sounds like a very reasonable mindset to have when approaching an acting career.
Female image and the sexualization of women is something females of all races encounter, but for black women, it's very specific. In 2011, an LSE professor published a study that claims black women were the least attractive of all races because of their high levels of testosterone.
Oh yeah, there was a study, all right. A study that even the Huffington Post couldn't take seriously. And at least this time, we got the year right. Let me read from the review of this study. Kanazawa, whose prior controversial works can be viewed in part here, was met with widespread backlash. Janae Desmond Harris at The Root wrote, "The blog's presentation of the allegedly scientific findings had a decidedly informal tone, especially given the highly contentious conclusions. It struck us as so outrageous that we almost thought it was a hoax of some sort, and we double-checked the URL to make sure it didn't include The Onion."
But simultaneously, the over-sexualization of black women is incredibly prevalent, especially in places like the hip-hop industry. Black women with big bums and big chests are used to sell music. Once again, black women find themselves at another crossroad. The over-sexualization and the masculinization that work together to create this image of the black woman.
Yes, it's the misogynarchy forcing these women to take careers in rap music and make millions of dollars. But no one finds them attractive, of course, because of their testosterone levels. I mean, they have no agency of their own. They're forced to do this. But they're no good at it because of their testosterone levels. I don't know how many times I can say this and make it make any sense whatsoever.
I think that when you look at what femininity is and the stand of femininity, it's always white women. When you look at the media and when they're talking about women in general, whether it be a beauty standard or even the feminist movement, white women are always represented. Black women are excluded because of the colour of their skin.
Yes, there are no black supermodels. There are no black sex symbols. There are no rap stars. None of these people exist because of their skin color. It is very easy to construct a conspiracy of discrimination if you're willing to completely deny reality.
And in the UK, we don't really have an open conversation about race very often at all, so feminism is still very white.
That conversation doesn't happen in the UK, huh? Hey, Bear, Misa, you guys should get on that.
A key difference between misogyny and misogynoir is that misogyny
Is a real word?
identifies the discrimination from men to women. Misogynoir is not just limited from men to women, but can also be perpetuated from women to women.
No one is safe, and everyone is suspect.
Women of different races can discriminate against other women of different races, and even black women.
You mean black women of the wrong shade? You see, if everybody can be guilty of this thing, then it means nothing.
I think we have to be really careful in terms of talking about misogynoir because it can be perpetuated by black men and white women.
Black men, white women, and
Even black women. So basically, it was the girl on the door that was saying that you guys... So how does it feel? Like, what colour was she? Was she black?
She was white.
She was white?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But the manager's black.
Yeah.
And the promoter is black as well.
the club manager was black and the promoter was black. So the noir in Misogynoir describes both the victims and the perpetrators. Gotcha.
I don't know. I think it's quite sad that this isn't something that's recognized.
I feel you, sister. I'm really sad that Missan Blanco hasn't really taken root yet, but I think that together, you and me, we can make some magic happen.
Voodoo magic. Fucking voodoo magic, man.